This is LaserBolt, and I know you tricksters out there are extremely disappointed because we did not make it into the poll. This is the poll that was released last week, and the Fire Witch actually won. But unfortunately for us Devastators, Tricksters, and Technomancers, our builds didn't win. But luckily for you guys, I have you completely covered, because today I'm going to present you my Trickster Clip of Infinity build, and I'm pretty sure it's super duper similar from the one that they were going to present to you guys. Now, I do want to remind you guys to don't forget that this particular build, I will be updating it constantly throughout the demo, and once the game gets released, to give us a better assessment once we have all the weapons, all the mods, and all the gear. But I'm pretty sure this build is very on point with what they were trying to accomplish. Now, if you're a Devastator or a Technomancer, don't worry guys, I will have you covered as well. I will leave the links of each of the builds down below in the description. So if you're a Trickster main and are excited to see what this build looks like and what we're going to try to accomplish, make sure you guys drop a like, and don't forget our monthly giveaway. Link is down below in the description. Good luck to everybody who's participating. Let's dive in and find out what the Clip of Infinity build has to offer. Our Clip of Infinity build is going to focus on three fundamental core elements. Number one is we're going to reduce the ability cooldown to allow us to produce infinite ammo. In addition to that, it's going to allow us that after every skill end and every skill active, it's going to maximize our weapon damage. And number three, it's going to buff our weapon entirely, giving us max weapon damage, max clip size, and max reload speed. These are the three fundamental cores for this build. So let's dive in and talk about how to put it together. First, let's start off with a legendary armor. So for the legendary armor, guys, like you guys saw my Technomancer build, we really didn't have a legendary armor to kind of wrap the build around. I believe for this one in particular, we actually already know what legendary armor is going to be the particular main focal point of this build. And that is the Chronos suit, the one that we got presented with the legendary armor. I have a complete breakdown of that armor suit if you guys want to check it out. It is down below in the description. But the reason why I believe the Chronos suit is going to be a fundamental part for this Clip of Infinity build is because of the actual bonus you get when having three different pieces. What that is, it says reverting time replenishes ammo in your clip. This is going to allow you guys to make sure that you're always constantly doing your skill to get that ammo back. That's why it's super important with this particular build, once we check out the skill tree, that we reduce the amount of time that it takes us to actually use borrowed time to be able to revert that ammo clip. In addition to that, let me pull this up on the screen, and I'm going to show you guys a mod that's also going to be beneficial, and I'll have like later on in the video tell you guys what are the best mods for this particular build. But we have a mod called Ammo Bargain. It says Twisted Rounds. While the skill is active, killing shots replenish 20% of your ammo in your magazine. Extremely important, because that means we're going to get that ammo back constantly. So let's go ahead and talk about what skills we're going to be using for this particular build. Since we're only able to use a total of 3 different skills, and of course the Trickster has really good skills, we're going to be focusing on 3 primary skills. Number 1, Twisted Rounds. Number 2, we're going to be using Borrowed Time. And number 3, we're going to be using Slow Trap. I think these 3 fundamental are core to this particular build. And once we dive into the skill tree, you guys are going to notice that we're going to be able to implement the cooldown on all these 3 abilities, even though they're 3 different types of abilities in different categories. So really excited for this build. Can't wait to share it for you guys. All right, so let's go ahead and pull up the skill tree. Now for the skill tree, guys, like you know, we have 3 different categories. We have Master of Space, Harbinger, and Assassin. For this particular build, we're going to stick to the Master of Space because I believe this is going to give us the most kind of benefit when it comes to getting our abilities back and giving us that raw weapon damage, because if this is a Clip of Infinity, we want to make sure our weapon is packing a punch. So let's go ahead and get started. For the first one, we're going to be spending 1 point into Arms Trick, which is going to give us 15% weapon damage at close range. We're also going to be dumping a point into Bullet Storm, which is going to give us a reload time of -20, so it's going to allow us to reload this weapon very quickly. We're also going to be spending 1 point into Death Probability, which is going to give us 8% weapon damage. And if we look a little bit further down, we're also going to be picking up Arms Trick again, which is giving us 50% weapon damage at close range. Next up, guys, we're going to be spending 1 point into Equilibrium, which is going to give us a 15% skill cooldown with movement speed. This is going to be reducing the cooldown, of course, one of the abilities we're going to be using a lot, which is Borrowed Time. Next up, guys, we're going to go ahead and pick up another Arms Trick, which is going to give us another 15% close range weapon. Really effective, since we are going to be using Borrowed Time. We are going to be using our shotgun very frequently, and we want to make sure we're picking up that close range weapon damage as well. From this point on, we're going to go up 1 and get Disrupted Firepower, which is going to activate a disrupted skill, which is going to increase our weapon damage by 20% for 8 seconds. And then we're going to go down on which is going to give us a Outrider Executioner. It says when your movement skill ends, it increases your weapon damage by 20% for 8 seconds. So this is actually pretty effective because once our skill is over, our weapon damage has been greatly increased. And it ties in perfectly because with these two abilities here, or with these two skill points that we're picking up, it helps us when the skill ends and when the skill is active. Moving along, we're going to be picking up a Singularity, which is going to increase 50% of the skill cooldown disruption, which is really cool. It's going to allow us to get that, reduction of the disruption skills that we get, bring it down to 15%. Moving along, we're going to get that 20% weapon damage from behind. So once again, this one, I wish I wouldn't have to pick this one. I wish I could have kind of gone maybe a different route, but I have to pick it up here because that's the only way I'm able to progress within the skill tree. Next, guys, we have the up top, which is Sign of Power. When your damage skill ends, increase weapon damage by 20%. So once again, we're getting 2 of these with maximum buff, so that's going to be 40% weapon damage. Really good. Next up, guys, we are going to go with Death Probability, 8% weapon damage. We're also going to be picking up the bottom one, which is Arm Trick, 15% weapon damage up close. We're also going to be picking 8% from Death Probability, 8% weapon damage. And we're going to be picking Equilibrium, which is going to give us another 15% skill cooldown to movement speed. Next up, guys, we're going to move up along the skill tree, and we're going to be picking up Unforeseen End, which is going to give us 20% weapon damage from behind. And we're also going to be getting a Bounty Hunter, which is going to give us 15 weapon damage against elites. And we're also going to be picking Oddity Summonation, which is going to give us 15% magazine size. So once again, increasing the size that we're able to carry within our weapons. We're also going to be picking up 12% of Assault Adept, which is going to give us 12% weapon damage for assault rifles. And we're going to be finishing off with picking up Cold Calculations, which is for each enemy in close range, your weapon damage is increased by 8%, stacks up to 10 times. Really important. Now, you're probably wondering, Laser, how are we going to get behind the enemy? Well, that's super easy, guys. We're going to be using Borrowed Time to actually do that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use the Slow Trap to be able to slow the enemy, get behind him, and maximize the amount of damage we're able to do from behind while our skill is active and when that skill ends. A lot of damage, a lot of power, very potent and very powerful. Now, I know the question you guys might be asking is, Laser, what type of weapons do you recommend for this particular build? Of course, a shotgun and an assault rifle. As of one weapon particular that I could recommend, right now I don't have one because I would definitely have to see more weapons that are coming for the game. Like I said, the demo is going to help us out with a lot of weapons, a lot of mods. So once I get those sorted out, we're going to definitely be updating this particular build. But what I could tell you guys is what type of weapon mods you want to be looking out for. So for the first weapon mod you want to be looking out for, it is called Clip of Amalthea. And it says the following: there is a 50% chance that a critical shot will not consume ammo. Really important, because if we're trying to keep that infinite ammo, this is going to give us the ability of not allowing us to consume that ammo when we're shooting it at 50%. The next one I want to recommend is called Brain Eater, which is critical shots do not consume ammo. Really simple, really easy. Not only if we get both of the clip and the Brain Eater, it's technically telling us we are not going to be consuming any ammo when we're not in crit shots. And the last one I want to recommend is Perpetuum Mobile. You instantly replenish your mag if you kill an enemy with 30% or less ammo remaining in your magazine. So very easy. You're going to get your magazine back if you kill an enemy after your weapon has wasted 70% of the clip. Really helpful, really good. Especially if you're using a shotgun or using anything like that to finish off enemies, it's going to be extremely powerful, or an SMG, against any close range enemy. And since theoretically this particular build is meant for us to be up close and personal, should be getting our ammo indefinitely. Now, the Trickster has 2 class-specific mods that are going to be extremely important, and that is why I kind of focus this particular build around these mods and around the Chrono suit. Number 1 is the Ammo Bargain, which is going to give you Twisted Rounds benefits. While the skill is active, killing shots replenish 20% of the ammo in your magazine. That's why we went with Twisted Rounds, and that's why I mentioned earlier that it was super important, because every time we kill someone, it's going to give us a little bit of ammo back. Then we also have another one called Delivered on Time, which is going to take advantage of Slow Trap, which says activating the skill replenishes ammo for the current weapon of all allies in the range. So not only is it going to give you ammo back, but it's going to give your allies back for the weapon that you're currently using while the Slow Trap is active. Really effective, giving us that, once again, that infinite ammo. That's why these 2 abilities are fundamental to the core build of the Clip of Infinity build. Now, there are some non-class specific armor mods that I want to recommend. One is called Bullet Recycling. When a shield is active, ammo is automatically replenished into your mag. So that means when your shield comes up, you will be able to get that ammo back. Once again, we should technically have our shield active almost indefinitely when using this particular mod. And since we are going to be using assault rifles, I thought I'd throw in one of my personal favorites that I'm trying to get is the Dum Dum Bullets, which is going to increase your assault weapon damage by 20%. Of course, we can't say no to assault, anything that increases our assault weapon damage. I'm pretty sure there'll probably be a shotgun one, so we might want to look out for that. As of right now, I don't know what that's called. The next one I want to talk to you guys is called Adrenaline. Whenever your health drops below 50%, all your skill cooldowns are reduced by 50%. Once again, the reason why I wanted to include this one is because this particular build is focusing primarily on having your abilities as active as possible and as constant as possible. So this should be very helpful to get our abilities back. And the last one I want to recommend is called Additional Mag. What this is going to do is that when your Twisted Rounds ability is active, it's going to affect 2 magazines instead of 1 before it triggers a cooldown, allowing you to get more maximum potential from Twisted Rounds. And I think that ties in perfectly the build. But we will be updating this once the demo releases. We'll be updating it once the game releases. But I think overall, in general, this is pretty much the fundamental build for the Clip of Infinity. I do hope you guys are enjoying our Outriders coverage. We're going to be having you covered with everything once the demo gets released and the game as well. Highly recommend you guys check out the videos that are popping up right now on your screen. Very informative, very helpful to give you guys a better idea of what other builds you could put together and how Outriders is going to come all together. I hope you guys are enjoying our content. If you are, make sure you guys drop a like, drop a comment, but most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you guys won't miss our Outrider coverage. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.